So I'm Callum, welcome to Retropower. Let's have a look.
Oh my goodness, how amazing. Yeah, there's a few nice things in here.
There's quite a lot going on, yeah, and customers bringing cars for so many different reasons. You know, some of them are motorsport builds, some of them are just road cars. You know, some of them are literally daily drive cars that we're building for people to replace a modern car that they've got fed up with.
Daily driver?
No, definitely not. No, that is a full-on rally car.
That would have been awesome.
So much for the commute to work, though. So much noise.
Like the Jag over there is we're building. The guy had a current model BMW M5, and he was just bored of new cars basically, and came to us and with ideas. He knew some of the cars that he liked, and said, you know, I like the Jag XJC. I like the shape of it. Can you do this? Can you change that? Could we make it more powerful? This, that, and the other. And we kind of put a spec together for it. We sourced the car for him, so he didn't even have the car, and that's something that's common with quite a lot of our customers. They just have the idea, and we kind of take it from there, basically.
That's brilliant.
Right through from the design stage, so we do all concept drawings for everything, CAD work, and take everything through from design right through to the finished car. And they never leave here. You know, there's the odd thing that we do outside, so like Simpson doing the exhaust manifold on the Alpha, but we do upholstery here, we do all the design stuff here, we do all the machining work, all the metal work, paint work.
Amazing.
You know,
so you're fulfilling dreams.
That is exactly what it says in our brochure, funnily enough.
Well, this is it, absolutely. I mean, look at all this in here, I'm just blown away.
So I can talk you through a few of them. The W108 Merc here, it's a 1960s S-Class, basically. And the guy just wants it as what can only really be described as just a badass cruiser. So he wants it to sit really low, but he obviously wants it to be practical to use. So we put it on air, but kind of to take it one step ahead of just chucking airbags on it, which usually means suspension angles going all through crazy angles and everything, hitting everything else. We've transplanted Jag XJ subframes into it from like a 2000s Jaguar XJ.
Wow.
And we've actually mounted them higher in the body, so when the suspension angles are all bang on when it's low. And then we've put a Chevy LS3 in it. Oh my goodness. Which is brand new crate engine, 430 horsepower, as you'd get in a Camaro basically. That's mated to a brand new GM auto box.
Oh my goodness.
Love it, and that's why obviously the Dynamax.
Try and get a bit in.
Yeah, you need something.
It's a cruiser basically, he wants to go on road trips. Sort of in the Mediterranean, and he actually lives in Nigeria, but he's got you know cars in the UK and a place in the UK.
Sure.
So it's going to be complete reupholstery as well to his own design, but not just reupholstery. We're totally redesigning the interior. So all the panels, it's going to have a centre console running right the way through, with a compartment that slides open with like your air controls, all your audio controls in it. We've done a screen that comes up out the dash, which is actually powered by the same air that the air rides on, so it's pneumatic. It comes up pneumatically from the dash. But when it's down, the dash just looks dead standard, so there's no... He wants it really classic looking as well, so it doesn't look like there's loads of audio and everything in it, but it's there. It just comes to life when you power it all up.
Unbelievable.
We're waiting for the proper wheels. Hi, Nat, by the way.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Hi. Good to meet you. We're joint owners of the business, and we started the business in 2009.
Awesome.
Basically, just off the back of liking mucking around with cars.
That's how it starts.
Everybody says, like, where did it come from? Where did it start? And that's literally it, yeah.
Sounds hard work, just like the same for us.
I mean, we started with one of the units through here. Just bought a couple of old cars and basically did them up on the cheap and sort of sold them on as just to demonstrate what we could do.
Wow.
And that just spiraled. We got sort of a few small jobs, just repairing rust and that sort of thing. And then I suppose 2010 we got our first sort of big project jobs. Yeah, we had a Skoda 400, Opel Skoda 400 replica build, which was a full build. That was our first kind of bare shell to finished car build. And then that got seen at quite a few shows in some magazines, and that generated quite a lot more of that type of project. And it's kind of snowballed to the stage where now all our projects are just total bare shell to finished turnkey car, and that's it.
Amazing.
That's basically what we do.
And was it yellow, that car?
The what, sorry?
The main car you built, was it yellow or white?
The Opel was white,
the first one.
We did an orange one shortly after for the guy's best mate, basically.
I do remember the white one. I'm pretty sure. Was it a guy? Was he not in England? He was in Scotland or Ireland?
No, it was in Cumbria.
So maybe I think it was in Retro Cars magazine, I believe.
I think it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while back now. I think I do. I remember
in
that feature.
2011. I think that was in the magazine in 2011. Yeah.
Oh, no worries. Go through.
That's Gazzy's our chief paint dude.
Nice to meet you.
Love it.
Well, you guys definitely have something.
So this is kind of the cleaner bit of the workshop where we do the build. So when we finish the shell comes in here in a painted shell. So like the Corolla over there, or the Sully that's over in the corner there.
We'll go through.
Yeah, do you want to show us a few of these?
Yeah.
If that's possible. We'd love to. Yeah, wonderful.
We'll start in the far corner and work.
Sure. Oh, there's that Jag.
Believe it or not, that grey car in the corner is a Nissan Sunny.
Oh, really? I've not seen one of them for years.
It's a Sunny's ZX Coupe, but we've basically completely redesigned the bodywork on it in steel. So the quarter panel from there down, all of the side skirt, all of the front wing from that swage down, the entire front bumper, all the panel work above it, and everything, including that all the way down, is all just handmade metalwork. The bumpers we've done in aluminium, so they're not too heavy.
That's amazing.
We've made a spoiler for it in aluminium as well, which is literally like he had a rubber spoiler, which was kind of a standard Nissan performance thing, but he wants everything metal on it, so we had to recreate this rubber spoiler in aluminium, and it's not just like a flat plate, it's a hollow piece, if you know what I mean. So it's an amazing thing. But yeah, it's that radically changed from a Sunny now. Everybody says, why did he even bother starting with one? but the guy's he's just obsessed with these Nissan Sunnies ZX Coupes. He had 4 of them.
They look amazing though. I like when people see it. I mean, we saw that trend for a while that a lot of the youngsters as well wanted to get those retro vehicles and just do something more. Like in Russia and Poland, you get like the old Ladas and Skodas. You would never have touched when I was like 18. You're like, it's like granddad car, but now they bring them out and you're like, holy cow, how incredible do they look? It's like, and that's what you've done with this.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
A lot of people say we obviously used a bit of Skyline influence in it, which a lot of people say it looks like a mini R32 Skyline basically. But,
yeah, that'll be funny down the road. Like, is it a Skyline?
Looks a lot better once the glass is in, because the glass kind of fills in this line. It looks a bit like a pickup without the glass in there.
Wow.
And it's got round lights that go in here, and then we're going to do like a vac formed smoked perspex cover that goes all the way across there.
That's going to be nice.
The middle bit will come down to access the fuel filler. And then in the spoiler, we've done the spoiler, which kind of juts out here, and then it's got a reverse camera recessed into the spoiler, and the number plate lights recessed into the spoiler as well, so it'll be really clean on the back. And the exhausts are going to come out on the side here, both sides, and then there's kind of a cutout in the back in the middle, and the design we've done is that there's going to be a transverse silencer across the back there, quite big, with like a sort of black anodised heat shield with round holes in it, you know, like they have on machine gun barrels, but a lot bigger, which will kind of sit across the back there. So when you face the back of the car, there's this kind of cutout in there with this like huge machine gun barrel across it.
Oh my god, that's gonna be so good.
So there's some pretty cool ideas. We haven't even started on the interior design yet, but he's basically wanting almost no standard car in there in terms of the interior, so it's going to be literally making all the trim more or less from scratch.
He wants it his own.
I think our new 3D printer is going to come in fairly handy with a lot of that stuff.
Wow.
So that's that one.
Gosh.
Caddy? Sorry, not Caddy, Clipper.
I haven't seen one in 3 years.
Yeah, we're doing this.
Definitely retro.
Doing this with a a supercharged 20 valve in it. For a guy who he claims to be building it for his sister's 50th birthday, but given the spec, I'm thinking he's building it more for himself. I'm sure she doesn't want a 330 horsepower supercharged 20 valve. As a surprise, bearing in mind it's a surprise present, so she doesn't know.
Oh, surprise! Oh my god.
Corolla we're building for a guy in Scotland. It was a bit of an nutcase. It was a fresh import. He hadn't even taken it on the road, but he decided to do a few donuts in a car park and bash one of the quarter bottles in.
And now he's having the whole car redone.
His plan was literally just to import it and bring it straight here, but in the meantime he got carried away and smashed one corner of it.
And then he gives it to you guys.
So we had to repair it as well. I mean, we were going to strip it anyway, but we ended up having to do a load of repairs to it, which we wouldn't have otherwise had to do.
You know what, you probably walked in and saw everything you guys did and were like, yeah, I think I need to do the whole thing now.
So this is kind of just a sort of fast road / drift car. We're doing a 4-age, which they had anyway, but just a high spec 4-age naturally aspirated in it.
Wow.
The colour on it's gorgeous. It's like you can't see in this light, but it's got like loads of coloured pearl in it. It's a Jag colour. And then we've done the cage and the engine bay in that lighter grey colour, and all the suspension components are going to be powder coated that light grey colour as well.
That's cool. And then
you're standing right with the light, you can just about see
if you get like a bright light on it, you can see
Yeah.
it. But it's called Jag Ultimate Black, and I'm quite inclined to agree with that claim. To be honest, it's gorgeous. The Stratos.
I know, this is like Sega Rally this taking back. As a kid, I used to love playing it.
The games.
It's we're building it for a guy from Singapore, and he's a British guy again, but he lives over there, and he's got a few toys over here that he likes to thrash around when he's back over here. And he originally booked in one of these weirdly, but then he completely changed his plan because he was going to import it over there. Then got a bit concerned about the rules regarding importing cars, and actually it's going to be a toy in the UK, in which case I want something completely different. I just want something that's a casual toy. So he wanted a Stratos replica, but kind of done to a different level to your typical Stratos replica. And one of the things we talked about early on was taking some design influence from a concept car that Bertone did before the original Stratos came out, called the Stratos Zero project.
Oh yeah.
And that had this kind of copper colour on it and a really like space-aged interior with these sort of big square blocks of vinyl all over it, and it had like, it almost looks like a Tesla. It's got this huge panel, which was, I think it was fake, but it was supposed to look like a display panel in the side of the car, and it looks so much like a Tesla's display in the centre console. But yeah, we're kind of taking a lot of influence from that, so the interior is going to have this same kind of square chocolate block, but in Alcantara, over the dash and in the seats. And then we've done all the electronics are being controlled by like a solid state controller, which has got a little flat keypad, which we've built a pod into the door for. So it's kind of a little nod to that big display that the concept car had.
Very
so
cool.
that all your controls basically sit in the driver's door at the end of your fingers when you're resting your arm in there. And then there's just going to be a digital dash, sits up here. It's like 8-inch screen, so a pretty large screen, sits on a bracket there, and then everything else is just completely clean. There's not going to be any stalk controls on it. That's going to be indicators on the steering wheel, everything else is on the keypad.
That's amazing.
Then you've got a display for the audio here, but then the audio controls are built into the roof. We've done like a pod moulded into the inside of the roof with the controls for the audio, because you can't reach the dash when you're belted in.
It's going to feel like, Hasselhoff in the kit car,
It's a little bit more classy, but
all you need now is voice recognition. Actually, that would be really cool, wouldn't it?
And then we're doing an Eaton supercharged 3.2 Alpha V6 in it. So that should be at least 400 horsepower, probably 450, I thought.
I'm so excited right now, probably like more than the owners. I'm like, oh, you guys having the most amazing stuff done to it. And I like the attention to detail you're putting into this. This is even to the fact of
charge coolers, like a water-to-air charge cooler system, because with the forced induction it really wants an intercooler, but there's no way of getting a massive amount of airflow at the back there.
Sure.
So we're doing a water-to-air charge cooler with 2 radiators that sit in the side pod. So we've done these vents, these aren't standard. There's something we've designed on the car that vent up through a radiator that sits here, and then there will be a grille on the top here, which we're 3D printing those. I've done like a quarter scale model of it, but we haven't got around to printing the full size one yet.
Wow.
It's just like a nice sort of slatted vent that sits in there to exhaust the hot air from there.
amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool
I'm
car.
impressed.
Cool.
I mean, gosh.
The Jag, which as I say, we're building kind of as the guys daily, but that's also got a Chevy LS3 in it. Same as the
oh my god.
Similar setup, GM auto box on that. The interior is out at the minute, which is a shame. But we've completely redesigned all the interior as well, so that's got all the sort of panel work that would have been wood originally. We've remade in aluminium to a slightly different design, and then had it hydro-dipped with like a real dark wood grain on it, just because it's a much more stable material when working with actual wood.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's got a decent audio system. It's got ABS, traction control, massive brakes with 6-pot calipers on it.
Wow, with that engine and the weight.
A lot of changes on the body shape as well. The rear wheel arches are normally kind of way down here, sort of a weird oval shape, so we've brought that right up and flared them out. And then the rear end is completely our own design from the boot shut down. The rear valance is a panel we've designed.
Oh, that's nice.
That actually bolts on, whereas originally it was part of the monocoque.
That looks
Quarter
really
bumpers
cool.
we've made, that's normally a bumper all the way across.
Yeah, that looks really nice. It suits the look. It's amazing how you just
minimised it all, and got rid of a lot of chrome. There's normally chrome strips down the sides. They all have vinyl roofs originally, so the original shape is so gorgeous, but it's just like there's so much on it, it just ruins the shape of it. It's got chrome and vinyl and all this stuff bolted on, but when you strip it all back and just change a few little details, it's such a stunning looking car.
Well, that back end looks amazing. Really love that. Great detail. Oh my gosh.
And the front is sort of more subtle, but a lot of work again. The bumper we've narrowed, tucked back in, reshaped it so it sits really tight to the body all the way around. And the grille is completely our own design as well. That normally sits sort of right around onto here, and there's a jag badge here. And it kind of goes around the edge there. So we've actually made this from a solid stainless steel bar, which is kind of like what, inch and a half wide by 8mm thick, and then literally heated and shaped it to fit, welded the ends together.
That is gorgeous.
Obviously, I think it was about a week's work just in that grille, and then welded the stainless mesh onto the back, and then the lower one was a bit easier. It's stainless wire with the stainless mesh.
Yeah. Looks solid. Looks really strong as well.
Just put the more modern badge on there, just as a little finishing touch.
Amazing.
That's pretty close to completion. I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks we'll be test driving that now.
That'd be amazing.
That'll be an exciting stage to get onto for sure.
It's gonna sound good. Oh. Yeah.
The Manta
Oh
is
my
another
God.
road car. Not every day, but a sort of weekend toy, if you like.
Yep.
That's got all Nissan Skyline running gear in it. So the GTS TR33. So
It's like a whole street sleeper. It looks original. Open that hood. Oh my God.
Got obviously on the front mount, inlet manifold, top mount, GT35 turbo.
My goodness.
He's had this back already, just sort of basically run it in and kind of iron out niggles and give us a niggle list for the winter. And we're going through that list now, and then there was a sort of process of kind of development we were doing, which we didn't get a chance to finish it for last summer. So there was a load of jobs which he basically left for this winter, which were upping the boost once it's been running, adding traction control and adding aircon. So it now has aircon, traction, and then it's just been remapped, so it's 425 horsepower now. Running 1.4 bar. It was only running like 0.6 of a bar when he first started back, so it only made like 300 horsepower. Only 300 horsepower.
Yeah, only something like this.
And to be honest, the 425 is still not a lot for one of these engines, but it's not about huge power. He wants to go on long journeys in it, and it just be a nice refined drive.
It makes sense. You've got to think of what he wants to do with it every day, and if you have too much power, it's undrivable.
Yeah,
and it's like, you know what?
Not, a lot of people say, you could get loads more out of it, but it's not. It's about matching the spec to what the guy wants to use it for.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so if it was a drift car, we'd just wind the boost up and make 700 horsepower, but it's not.
Drifting through towns and cities, like next mix.
It's got the full Nissan independent rear end from the Skyline in it as well.
My goodness.
And then just loads of changes inside. It's got aircon, which was a really tight installation because there's no room behind.
I can imagine there's no room.
I mean, even the compressors are pretty tight in there to get all the plumbing and the compressor and all the rest of it in there.
It's such a lovely job, though. I mean, you look at this and you think it would be from factory. When I look at this, it's just been so nicely done.
It's kind of how we try and do all of them with mindful of like if Opel or Jag or whatever were building this car for this customer,
yes,
this is how it would be.
That's a great way to think about it because you're giving the quality and it looks amazing.
The S-Class is just a total concourse restoration, dead standard.
Why not?
Literally been back to, as with every car in here, it's been back to a bare metal shell, literally every component back to individual components, as with almost every project we do. So even like the engine's been back to just a bare block casting, gearbox stripped to just a bare casting, so we bead blast all the aluminium castings, all new bearings, all new seals. And even on like the engine, you go to the detail of like even things like the throttle body have been taken apart and the individual parts in that plated and blasted. The light's not very good down here, but every component has been kind of stripped and replated or blasted or replaced or whatever was most cost effective to do. We're just working on the interior for this at the minute, which Dean's working on at the minute upstairs.
Yeah.
But that in itself has been a trauma because we had to try and track down the original fabric because it was like a ribbed Vela, so it's not like a standard thing. It was a Mercedes product, and you can't just buy a fabric that looks exactly the same as it off the shelf anywhere.
Sure.
So I spent probably the best part of 6 months ringing and emailing everybody in the world that basically who was to do with Mercedes to try and track down some of this cloth in new old stock basically. Eventually found a place that had some. And then I thought, we'll go ahead with this, got a sample, it was okay, ordered it. They said, we went to get the order and we went to go on the system, we've only got this many meters and that's not enough. And then he was like, well, I said, have you sold it to anybody else recently? I was like, oh yeah, we sold to a couple of people. So I said, well, can you contact them and find out if they've got any left?
Yeah.
So I contacted the people they supplied it to, and then one of them had some offcuts left, and I had to get the exact sizes of the pieces they had left, work out, and then they said, oh, actually, we've just been to check the bit we've got, and it's in 2 sections, which makes it even harder because you've got to get the sizes of the panels we want.
Oh my God.
And I worked it all out, and we haven't finished it, so I shouldn't tempt fate at this moment. But basically, as long as we make no mistakes when we cut it out, we've got exactly the right amount. But
that's brilliant, though.
But yeah, that was a tough old challenge sorting that out. But yeah, as soon as that interior is done, this one's going together and going to go off.
Wow.
It's kind of a sentimental value, this one. It's sort of been in the family a long time. They were clearing out some of the estate, and this was just looking derelict and rusty in a corner, and they said, well, you know, we kind of remember our mum driving around in it, shall we get it restored? So it's been kind of restored for that, and then they've built a building just to put it in. It's got like, they've done like they called it the Orangery. It's like a timber framed, climate controlled building just to have this in. So pretty cool.
That's awesome, though.
Needless to say, they're quite wealthy people.
Sure. But, I mean,
really cool
you guys.
I quite like doing these ones because it's not a car anybody would really attach any massive value to. You know, an absolutely perfect one of these is probably only worth 20 grand. So to be spending 100 plus on a restoration like this is just, to most people, completely bonkers. But I love that because it's just doing it because that's what they want, rather than thinking about the value of it in any way. Which is something that ties a lot of our customers. I mean, like the Nissan Sunny over there. There's no chance of him selling that to anybody, any sane person, but he just wants it, that's what he wants, and it's a cool thing to do.
And it is.
And he's got the money to pay for it, so.
True, and plus, that's what it is for this.
Yeah, on this, yeah, that's the thing.
That's cool. So good because it's history, it's memories, and you're bringing it right back to how it should be, and then they're going to be like a centerpiece to remember their mother.
It was literally when the woman rang to start with, the phone call was, we've got this old Mercedes, it's green, I don't know much about it, but you can come and have a look at it. And basically, we just want it new again. That was it. And that's just been the brief from the start. There's no complication to it at all. It's just make it new again.
We'll do it. Wow.
But even down to of course like the original tyres they came with, which are not a production item anymore.
As you say, look at that tread as well. Wow.
Throughout, everything's kind of exactly as it would have been.
Gosh.
It changed stereo in it. I actually put an 8-track player in it, but when I spoke to the people we're doing it for, they were like, no, we better make it exactly as it was when it left the factory, so we got rid of that and sourced the exact original stereo they came with originally, which even that's quite difficult to do for something like that.
As you say, you can't find these parts everywhere.
The Chevette is,
look at this.
A full-on tarmac rally car. Local guy, doesn't live far away too. And he's just kind of had this dream for years. He bought this car when he was reasonably young, I think. And he did a lot of work on it, and then it's been put to one side, and then he did more work on it, and it's been put to one side. And then I think his career got further and further, so he had more money and less time, and then he gave it to somebody else to do some metal work on, and had it back from that. And the metal work was kind of okay, but he wasn't very happy with it. And then he got an engine built by somebody, and they went bust on him, and he lost all his money on that.
Yep,
and then he kind of just put it all on one side for a bit, and I think for about a year and a half, and then he sort of approached us and told us the full story, and I said I really want to do this now and just get it done and done right. And it's getting there. The plan for this is to take it to Retro Rides Weekender at Goodwood.
Yes.
We're taking 7 cars there actually.
That's amazing.
Like the Jag, the Alpha out there, that Manta, and some others.
It's the only one we're going to miss, but we're going to do the August one.
Yeah,
we're going to start working with those guys very closely now. We're going to have a meeting in London about it, and because our audience is very much about what you guys are doing. So
I'm sort of quite close sort of friends with David.
That's cool.
We're kind of doing it's just finding the time to do everything is ridiculous, but we're supposed to be doing a little bit of a YouTube channel between the two of us as well. Well, us two and Jason, Jason La Rosa. He does the video stuff for Retro Rides and us. And so the three of us, because we get on really well, David, me and Jason, have been talking about doing this YouTube channel of our own, of just driving and talking about cars basically. But it's just getting around to it. We've got so much we want to do.
I know.
And Jason's flat out doing stuff for me and David anyway, so it's like
there's a lot of things. Okay, understand. But you've got a lot of stuff to talk about, so absolutely.
So it's basically just ultimate spec Chevette rally car. It's being built elsewhere at the minute. That's just a dummy one we put in so we can get all the sort of systems around it. Sure. When we get the proper engine, we'll just swap it in. But that'll be about 300 horsepower from a 2.3. It's about as much as you can get out of one of those without taking too many risks.
Awesome. Wow.
That's gonna be a nice thing.
Mercedes, Jaguar.
Pagoda, we've got 2 of these in at the minute, both of them just going back to standard, which I would love to do a modified one of these. I think we're going to get to do one for the guy, because the guy we're building this for says he's got another 4 projects he wants to do with us, which are all Mercedes and all in the same vein. So he's called this project Kaiser, and then he wants to do Kaiser 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 basically.
Amazing.
And they'll all be the same colour, same interior theme, same kind of air ride, and so they'll kind of have the same look, but they're all different models of Mercedes. And one of them hopefully will be one of these.
Yeah, that'll look amazing. Actually, like
Cool, but then at the same time, it's sort of the sensible option to take one of these standard because the values are just going absolutely ballistic.
this is it. Absolutely. How far do you take it?
Both the guys we're doing these for, I think, paid less than 20 grand for them, both within the last sort of 5 years from the States. And I would say at the moment a really well restored one's probably 150, 200,000 maybe.
Exactly, it's probably worth doing the restoration.
They're just going up like unbelievably quick. So yeah, so they're both kind of standard restorations. The other one's just got to the painted shell stage, so they're both at about the same point at the minute. The other one's grey and that's through the other side.
Sure, wow. Beautiful. Look at that.
Mark II Jag, that's kind of going as a road car but with a period touring car feel to it. So aluminium panels, aluminium bonnet boot lid, with the sort of vents that the race cars had back in the 60s.
So cool.
And then the engine's going to be, I don't know if you've seen the Gemv historic throttle bodies that look like Weber DCOE carbs, but they're injection. It's just done for the look, so we're going to do a set of those. So it looks like it's on triple Webers like the old race cars would have been, but it's actually injection.
What a cool idea.
Mark 1 Golf.
Another Mark 1 Golf.
VR6, pretty standard build really, air ride, and a VR6 has kind of been put to one side for a while to be honest, so we ought to get back on with it at some stage.
That's all good.
And then through here is the metalwork area.
So as you can see, amazing. Now we're going to the metalwork
It's a bit
area.
noisy in here, that's where your sound's going to be coming from.
Yeah, I think we have to talk a little bit louder. Wow, this is where all the metalwork happens then.
Yeah, so the noise at the moment is the paint booth extraction, which is on because Gaz is doing some paint work at the minute.
Sure.
But yeah, this is where we do all the metalwork, including kind of all the engineering side of that as well. So with Stu at the minute is over there, he's our chief metalwork guy. He's working on that Mark 1 Escort, which we're actually building for Gordon Murray. You know, the Mclaren, he's the guy who designed the McLaren F1, he was Brabham's chief designer, McLaren's designer. He still runs Gordon Murray Design now, which is, they've been designing the new TBR and loads of other stuff. But anyway, that's going to be his daily drive car basically, so that's probably the most exciting project we've ever had when Gordon Murray walked through the door and said, "Can you build me my car?" We were like, "Yes!" Okay. So yeah, we're building kind of a lightweight, modernised Mark 1 Escort for him. And that's related to that because we're designing a complete new rear suspension system for him. So it's going to be fully independent on the back. And my brother Nat, he's kind of the engineer. He's been working on this over the last couple of months, designing a cradle basically that holds this Sierra disc, and then lower wishbones, and then there'll be a McPherson strut basically here. So we kind of, the kind of key to it is trying to make it all strong but keep it light as well and not add a ridiculous amount of weight.
Sure. And
also tie it all into parts of the shell that originally had quite a lot of strength in it. So these are the mounting points and they kind of intersect where the chassis leg runs so along here. So we can keep all the strength tied into the hard place.
Amazing.
Mark III Cavalier, which is going to be a sort of BTCC meets DTM car. So obviously they didn't have, in DTM, Vauxhall ran the Calibra, but in BTCC they ran the CAF. And in the Calibra they had the Cosworth KF V6, which is a 2.5 litre V6 that made 450, 500 horsepower naturally aspirated. Bonkers, revs to 14,000 RPM. And the guy building this was got one of those. And so we're doing a 4x4 KF Cosworth powered Cavalier, basically with the look of a BTCC car, but with the performance of a DTM car, which is going to be completely off the charts. It's kind of waiting for work to start on it at the minute, but it's going to be bonkers.
A Cavalier, I mean, take me back.
Yeah, we're painting one in the booth at the minute, we're doing some repaint work on it. But we restored one, a sentimental one again, for a guy in Scotland. It was his brother's car, and his brother was killed in a car crash in another car. So he kind of had it restored and built the way he would have wanted it as a sort of memory to his brother, basically.
That's really nice.
So that's a pretty cool one as well, actually. But just again from the point of view of being able to do that quality of build on a car that nobody would normally do that with. See some lightweight bits on this as well, like the Alpha carbon fibre boot, carbon fibre bonnet. Duratec, which is being built by, we've got a dummy one in there at the minute, but Cosworth's building Duratec that's going in it. Which is going to be about 250 horsepower, so it's keeping it sort of middle of the road, so it's going to be quite a regular use car.
Sure.
So we've just been working on panel work, so almost everything's new. The quarter panels are new, the doors are new, floors are all new. We've also done a large transmission tunnel. We're using an MX-5 6-speed manual gearbox on it, because that bolts straight to that Duratec, because the MX-5 Generation 3 had a Duratec in it, so the gearbox goes straight on.
Wow.
We've had him here not long ago to do a seat fitting to get everything exactly feeling how he wants it, pedal position, steering wheel position, seat position. And he's massive, he's 6'5", so
6'5".
he sits like
really
back here, that is his steering wheel position.
The police officer
literally the back of the seat is out there when it's looking at it.
Everyone's probably thinking,
but he's not having back seats in it, so it's okay.
Oh, okay.
And we've just been doing like the interior design phase on it at the minute, because there's certain things in the metalwork we've got to do, like all the dash, we're remaking all the dash, because we're changing the appearance, different gauges, different heat controls, etc. We want to make sure we've made provision for all of that all in the metalwork phase.
That's amazing. You guys actually focusing so much on like the drivability. So the guy's 6'5", and now you managed to restructure the interior.
I mean that's the most important thing. I think there's this trend in kind of the car scene at the minute for it all to be about the look of the car, and almost people forgetting that it's a car, and it's become more like an art form. And an art form of like just looking at it, and it shouldn't be like that. They should be good to look at, but the most important thing for a car to do is drive well. Surely, I mean that's what it's all about for us. It's got to make you feel great.
Absolutely, that's it. It's all about emotion.
And not just because people are looking at you thinking you're cool, but because of the rush, all the adrenaline, the noise, the sound, all the rest of it.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about. We've got
what's all happening here?
A pair of Opel Mantas. This one's having a wide arch kit on it and a V8 in it, and we're only taking this one as far as a painted shell, and the same. These are both projects unusually we've taken on and agreed to go as far as a painted shell, but not a finished car. Just this guy we've known for a long while, and this one it just sounded like a project that was going to fit in well with what we're doing. And then there's the bus at the end, or the van, should I say. Again, that was an existing customer who we get on really well with. And he just said, I've got this panel van I brought back from Alabama, I think it was, and it looks like we've never done one of these kind of patina builds before, where we're leaving it looking like that.
That's going to be amazing. Absolutely.
And the challenge really is we've got to repair all of the rot in it, and there's a fair bit, but then make it rust again so it's solid, but it looks like that. And we've got to repair a lot of the lower sections of the body. So we're going to be letting metal in and then basically blasting it to etch it up and encouraging rust on it, so it gets that surface rust look on it.
That's going to look so good.
But be really solid, and obviously it's going to be absolutely on the floor and all the rest of it. So they're quite unusual, the vans are. You see a lot of the campers obviously, but the split screen vans are pretty unusual, so it's quite a cool thing to be working on. It's just got the perfect look about it. Finding that exact patina is really hard.
That's rare. We've not seen
it's totally original. It's never been painted. It's literally just sat in Alabama with the sun baking the paint off it.
Brilliant.
So any paint you see is the original paint. So it's even inside, but it's amazing.
Awesome.
I'll just show you in a couple of these rooms here.
Yeah, sorry about the noise, guys. It's a bit loud in here, as you can imagine.
One of our engineering rooms. So we've got milling machine, lathe. This is a pantograph engraver, which basically allows us to engrave more. At the minute, they've just been putting some circles of metal out on it, which sounds a mundane process, but to accurately cut a circle of metal in thin sheets can be quite tricky actually. So literally, it just copies your motion on here, so that'll cut out a circle. But we can use it for anything. You can run this around a template for a logo, for example. Yep. So if we we've got one of our logos somewhere. Not where it is, but you put it on here and you run it around and it can replicate that. So for instance, we could get like a black anodized aluminium panel and just etch our logo into it using this, rather than having a laser or whatever, which which obviously we can't afford.
No,
It's just a job, and it's actually a bit more flexible in terms of the use.
Exactly.
And then for kind of day-to-day engineering stuff, the middle of the lane, real technical stuff, we do the CAD drawing, but we get it sent. We've got a local company that have Valance CNC, so we can get real technical machining work on there. But I'll show you our new toy.
Okay, let's go back into the room where it's very noisy. Let's have a look. Let's follow him. This place is like a gold mine. These guys have got some crazy stuff going on here. This is amazing. Oh, where's he going to take us, like a secret room almost?
This is our new toy.
Oh, it's a toilet. Exciting. Oh, there you go.
CNC plasma table.
Oh, wow.
And there would be a 3D printer in there, but we had a problem with it, so it's gone for repair at the minute. We've got a 3D printer that does 500 by 500 by 500 mil, and then the CNC plasma basically just cuts profiles out, keep that. So when we put it 50 frame bracket or something like that, we just draw it up on CAD and just cut it out on this, and it just saves everything. Jigsaw or grangle grinder or whatever we'd have done before, it just makes cutting metal shapes that much quicker and really accurate as well.
Amazing. Obviously the print machine as well, I mean, that's incredible.
The things like this sort of thing you can just CAD up, and it takes probably 3 or 4 minutes to draw something like that on CAD, a minute to do it, cut it out on this.
Incredible. 3D printing now is just...
Oh yeah, the 3D printing stuff, so I'll have to show you some of the bits in a bit, but it's amazing. I couldn't believe how good it comes out, and we've been using a material that's got carbon fibre strands in it as well, so it's ridiculously strong.
Really? So we remember doing Jay Leno's garage, and we went down there, he showed us around this 3D printing machine. It's like this 1908 Ford.
Yeah, because I watch his series, and he's always banging on about his 3D printer. You see what's that red car that his dad had? Is it a Galaxy or a Fairline or something? And he had a load of problem with the heat in the engine bay, making it cut out basically. So he 3D printed an inlet plenum for it. Like to go, it was just a stunning thing. Yeah, it's Scott being noisy, isn't it? It was the plasma over there. We're just chopping the grill. We put a complete new front end on that Manta, but the only front we could get was like a new old stock one from a Cavalier, which doesn't have the vent slots in it. So he's just cutting the vent panel out of that, so we can then put that into the front of that one.
Sure.
That's kind of like the electro stuff in that. And this is kind of the paint prep area. So that's the other Pagoda, which I think looks amazing, the colour on it. So
oh my goodness. Hey.
So we've literally just finished a complete sort of bare metal restoration of the shell.
That colour is beautiful.
Sort of wet, flashy and buff, but I mean, this is just a good finish for the minute, literally as it came out, which is probably one of the best ones I've seen him do. Gaz is generally pretty good, but this one's properly nice.
It's nice. I love the colour.
A collection of cars which these guys really want to get rid of, which are basically painted ones that are now sitting here because there's not enough room on the other side to get them through.
Understand it happens.
Because we take too much leisure time apparently. But there's a Datsun 240Z, which we've completely re-engineered all the underside to have another Skyline RB25 engine in it.
Yep.
A-series Manta, and they're actually quite a sort of a car that not many people are that aware of, but they're a really nice looking car. They kind of look like an old mini American muscle car.
Oh yes,
really
they look
nice
amazing. Oh, look at that green.
Yeah,
oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean, both colours. I mean, so different, but amazing.
You know, Jaguar briefly had an F1 T.
Yes.
That's the colour that they used on their Formula 1 cars.
Was that the customer's decision, or did you guys say, hey, why not?
He wanted a nice green that was kind of deep and vivid, but not too bright. And we'd already discussed that colour with somebody else, and I just suggested that, and he sort of threw a couple of other options into the mix. We did spray out some more, and he said, "Yeah, you're right. That one looks awesome." So
it looks incredible.
That's the one we went for.
That in the sun as well must be so rich and
it's got quite a heavy sort of gold pearl in it. So when you see it in the sun, all the sort of accents are gold on it, which looks amazing.
Wow.
And then there's just a few waiting. There's another Z in the middle over there, which has just been blasted and is awaiting metal work. In the corner, the turquoise one, that's an NSU R080, which is a pretty unusual thing. Really early rotary engined German thing.
NSU is so rare. We did an SU years ago. Was it TT? What did we do? I can't remember. It was a really small, kind of boxy looking one. I forgot the name of it now. So long ago I've forgotten, but
yeah, I think
it was the first time we'd done one, and I was like, I've never seen one before, and it was a magazine asked us to go out and do it, and 8-9 years ago now. Wow.
And then we've got a 57 Beetle. It's just sort of we've done all the prep work on it. We're having a bit of a pause in a minute for financial reasons from the customer, but that's going to be painted, and then he's having that back as a painted shell.
Wow.
And then the other two over here are just our own, the Golf Skaz's car, the Mark II with 20 on it, and then the Range Rovers, and that's doing a sort of full restored classic Range Rover, but with a Mercedes OM606, which is like the straight six turbo diesel Mercedes engine that everybody's doing in these mega black smoke, big turbo, rolling coal type cars.
That's it, get the pipe up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be pretty awesome, mate. He's had the fuel pump built by a guy in Sweden, Shore on it, diesel Meccan. And that, I think it's going to be capable of about 400 horsepower. I don't know if he's going to be able to run it because of that, because the transmission's got a few weaknesses, but it's certainly going to be very fast anyway.
Wow.
And you don't expect it from a Range Rover.
No, you don't. This is it.
Maybe a modern Range Rover, but not one like that. And that's the Red Cavalier that I was
yes.
the Scots guy. We're just doing some paint rectification on it. The paint was a bit thin on the top of the door, so we're just redoing the paint on the tops of the door.
Gosh, it takes me back from like the Vauxhall Novas and GTs and SRIs and all the Cavaliers in the day.
This one's an interesting one because it was a GSI 2000, so front wheel drive. But he decided he wanted to turbo it, so we've done a real nice turbo conversion that's blowing through individual throttle bodies on it, so it's got Genvis but with a plenum on them, and it made 360 something horsepower. But it's front wheel drive, so it's a bit leery. A bit of a tyre smoker.
That would go really quick. Wow, thank you so much for showing us around. It's incredible.